Um, I'm Emily, and this is my HR measuring project. It's the final exam. Congratulations on the end of the semester. Um, so, we're going to be talking about different things that can be measured in the HR field and why they're important. So, this is kind of hard to see. Um, so I'm talking about training and development and how it affects turnover rates in the workplace. This is something that is really huge in my workplace, um, and it in the past few months that I've been here. Well, I've been in my workplace for about a year, um, so really seeing how you know training and development really makes or breaks employees, and seeing actual numbers and seeing how it's measured is really interesting to me, and I think it's really important for any business or company, workplace, even just like a nonprofit organization. I think it's really important to really look at and pay attention to, because it really states what employees are doing, what management is doing to affect the employees positively or negatively. So in this presentation, we're going to be going over training and development. What is it? Why is it important? Turnover rates. What are they? Why are they important? Personal and I conducted interviews with two managers. We call them team leads, and I talked to them about what have they seen in the past few months, like I've seen, and what's their opinion on it? What could be done differently? Let's see. So, measuring HR. Like, why is measuring HR important? Our book talks about, I think it's like chapter 11 or 12. It talks about progress. It measures the progress throughout the workplace, whether it's decreasing or increasing. And it states where the work needs to be. If you're keeping track of your turnover rates, that's a sure sign. If you have a big turnover rate, it's a sure sign. Hey, something's not working. Hey, our training isn't working. Hey, we're not giving our employees enough incentives. Hey, do we need to add development? Do we need to add more structure? Do we need to take out some structure? And when you measure things and you present it to a team, or even if you just keep it on like an Excel spreadsheet or even like a Word document, over the years, it holds accountability to the workplace. It holds management accountable. It holds employees accountable. It holds the leaders in the workplace accountable. It just presents accountability, and it shows what is where, how, and when, and what it might need. I like that little picture right there. Let's see. Turnover, and training and development. This little screen thing is not letting me. So I know this picture's kind of cheesy, but training and development, we're all here to do. So this picture kind of makes me think of, so you hire a new team. You're all at the start line. Who's going to get to the end, but efficiently? This is kind of what the picture makes me think of. Like, we're all in this race together, but are we running it? Are we really running it together? Are we learning together? Are we developing together? Are we helping the organization develop more together? And I think that's the key component with training and development and how it affects turnover rates. Training and development is important because it's the only way things are going to get better. You're not going to learn unless you try, or with practice, or you sit down and have a good conversation with somebody. Workplace training is the process of developing knowledge, skills, and efficiency in your job. One source that I used in this presentation, probably one of the best things I've ever researched, was with Indeed. Indeed, they update it. I think it said like every 6 months or something like that. But they present all, Indeed, everybody goes to apply there and find jobs and stuff. Well, Indeed has this whole breakdown of what businesses are ranked where, stuff like that. And then, what it means to have a job, what it means to be trained, what it means to be a leader in the workplace. Super cool website. It's linked in my reference log. I think it's really cool. I think it'd be really cool for an HR person just to have up on their wall, when they hire and train people, you need to know this. This is why we do things. It makes a lot of sense to me. So turnover rates. I think I already talked about this, but turnover rates are really important because you see what employees are staying, who's doing what, who's loyal, and turnover rates are important because you see what you're putting into the company and how it's being returned. If you're putting not a lot into it, you're going to go through employees, like it's McDonald's or something, or even my workplace, Premier Kids Care in the past few months. Oh my goodness, we went through so many people just because they have not been taking the time to train and develop, their employees. They've not been taking time to implement good programs, good incentives to keep the people here. Oh, wrong way. Let's see. Okay. Training and development. So Albert Einstein said education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. I love that quote. Because you're not going to know unless you learn, The only way you're going to learn is unless you're taught. And sometimes it can be a positive thing or a negative thing. So what does training and development do to the workplace? It just strengthens it more. Depending on the requirements of a workplace, depends on how training will take place. This is where management really has to dig deep. And even the leaders, I just got finished taking my capstone, and we were learning about being a strategic leader and what that means for the workplace. Knowing your people so you know how to train is really important, and I think it's really an important quality for HR to have, and it needs to be measured, because once you start measuring that, you see, okay, this is what works for this kind of person, this is what doesn't work. It would even give you the opportunity to measure a layout of, okay, we need to go in through this, this, and this, and this, and this, because this is what worked, 40% of employees will not stay in their position if there's no training given. This is key, because I feel like my workplace is the best example. If people are not feeling that they're being invested in, or they're not having that special time to learn with that special person in that position on what they're supposed to be doing, they're not going to take the time to do their job. The employees are going to feel like there's no purpose in what they're doing. What's the point of me being here if you're not going to train me? Without a record of training in the workplace, 74% of employees feel they lack potential. You're not taking the time out to train me or help me develop as an employee. So what's the point? Am I even worth being here? Do I have what it takes to do this job if I can't just learn it on my own? So, I thought that was interesting. So in my workplace, we have what's called a team lead. So I talk to, because I've moved twice, 2 or 3 times while I've been here, and I've had 2 team leads, actually 3. So the first one, Mandy, was my first interview, and she used to be with contracting, so she would help bring in employees, help bring in, new insurance plans, the whole 9 yards. So she would really see the point of the turnover rates, the percentages and everything like that. So I want to talk to her about that. So I did, 4 of these X's just to do, 40%, 4, Mandy said there was a 40% turnover rate in the workplace. In the past, I think she said in the past year, or was it 8 months? I think it was 8 months. In the past 8 months, we've gone through 40 employees. Now, granted, they were at entry-level jobs, not doing much of anything, but she said that because of this, because of the record that they've been keeping, which is important because you're supposed to keep record of this, it's important to keep record of this because they know and they're reevaluating the way they're training and they're developing. So one thing that they've really started to crack down on is when they bring in new employees, they'll take those managers of that department and they'll take all those new employees and they'll take them out to lunch. And they'll just have a conversation like, hey, how are you? You know, what are you interested in? Are you wanting to grow? You know, those kind of questions. And, you know, I took a class, I think it was last semester. It was my organizational development class. And we learned about inviting work groups coming in and surveying the people in the workplace. And what they would do, they would say, okay, these people work good together, these people probably don't need to work together, you know. And then they would evaluate the way management communicates with the employees, and that would tell them why they're having the trouble. So I kind of tried to explain that to Mandy, and she thought that was a great idea. And she was actually going to present it to Miss Debbie, which is our big wig, you know, manager. So she wants to invite better communication training, stuff like that, to really help communicate better with the new employees. So the second person I talked with, this is our little logo. We're a diabetic pharmacy. We supply diabetic durable medical equipment, and I work in the billing and the paperwork side of it. This is Iris. She is head of billing. So she trains from entry level to sometimes training people for management. She's done anything you can think of. She's great. I love her. She really thinks that training and development has decreased in the past 2 years. She does not think that people are doing what they need to be doing. And hey, I'm doing a presentation right quick.
Okay.
I'm recording. Sorry, I'm on a budget. She thinks that there's a difference between visual and hands-on learning, and she finds that it's important to figure out where that difference is and where they need to pick up. So when a person comes in to work with Premier Kids Care, you usually start the first week, you know, you have orientation, which is a whole bunch of reading, everything like that. You have to sign papers saying you agree with the ethical standards of the workplace and stuff. So you do that, and then you'll go and sit with the, you know, team leads or the management. In this time, Iris believes that there's not enough attention to the difference in people, the difference in the workplace, you know, how people learn, stuff like that. So inviting more training and more attention to that is really important to her. And I think it should be important as well, just because if you're not understanding the difference in people and you're not communicating well, they're not going to learn like you think they're going to learn. Yeah. Let's see. So I did a little research, and this Indeed website, oh my goodness, it was probably, along with the book and things that the book suggests, and I had some other notes that I had from some classes last semester, that it was so helpful. It was so helpful. So trainings that should be onboarding. This is basically just welcoming the people in and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. We want you to do well, you know, that kind of thing. Technical development. Really cracking down on who these people are. Even if, you know, it has to do with how they work a computer. Like, making sure that there needs to be training there. Making sure that, okay, do you need to develop more in this area, you know? And then you get to the soft skills. Soft skills is like everything. Everything ties into the soft skills. I am a big believer in soft skills. Communication is everything. If you're not on board with your employees, with their communication and your communication, you ain't going nowhere. And team training. If you're not working together, what are you doing? You know, you can't make the business go all on your own on one thing. So, yeah. Let's see. So, for my workplace, I think we're amazing. I think we do as best as we can, and a lot of times our best is unbelievably amazing. But at times,